So it has been brought to my attention that I repeatedly say in these videos. It's sort of becoming my own version of Zizek's and so on and so on.
Exchange and so on. Corruption and so on and so on. Bad communists and so on. Exploiters and so on and so on.
But I think there is something of value and psychoanalytically interesting into why I say that, I had a session this week and I was going on a rant. And after I finished talking, I ended my sentence with my famous, And honestly, it caught me by surprise and I thought it was funny. But I really do want to dive deep into why I say that, or why a subject would assume the other to know. The question itself implies that the other doesn't know what the subject is saying, but the knowledge of the other is nonetheless being affirmed forcefully by the subject. This process enables the subject to complete the sentence, thought, or expression by constructing an imaginary version of the other that understands the subject. To paint a better picture, I like to describe the role of the analyst during the very first session. As soon as you begin the session for the first time, you're being confronted by a stranger, an other than yourself. With the use of language, you begin to shape who you're talking to. For instance, you won't speak to your professor the same way you speak to your friend. But we've all experienced a moment where we get surprised by the use of language expressed from another person. The professor might crack a joke that your friend would have made. That joke or word expressed by the professor has now changed the way you see him. In analysis, though, the analyst traditionally doesn't offer that. 9 times out of 10, what the analyst does or says is nothing. So the analysand, or the subject, is in charge of creating this imaginary identity of the analyst and of themselves through the discourse. Hence, saying would consciously skip over the fact that the analyst precisely does not know, but it's through the means of language that the subject creates this imaginary version of the analyst that understands exactly where the subject is coming from. And it is by this process that the facilitation of what cannot be said by the subject comes to be expressed. In other words, I know you don't know, but I will convince myself without a shadow of a doubt that you do know. And it's within that experience of transference that I am able to say anything at all, even if the construction of the other is wrong or just a projection of myself.